So do you want to get a lift to the red carpet premiere for Lock and Key?
Yeah, we could do that, or I can drive, whatever's easiest.
Joshua Terry, I just found a key.
Ooh, cool.
Great.
A key?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually just going to get a ride. Do you want to come with us?
Actually, maybe this is the anywhere key. Ooh, we can use this to get to the Lock and Key premiere
Wait,
event.
no, Akeem, don't do that. That was the ghost key.
So, do you want to drive?
Yeah, we'll get my car.
Guys, the door closed. I'm stuck as a ghost in here. We got to change that if I'm going to get to the red carpet, the premiere event. You're gone, aren't you?
Welcome, everybody. We made it. We're here. We're at the world premiere of Netflix's Lock and Key. I'm Terry Schwartz, and we are going to be talking to the cast and creators who finally brought this show to life after 12 years. I'm talking everyone from showrunners Carlton Cuse and Meredith Averill to stars like Darby Stanchfield and Connor Jessup, and of course, the comics creators themselves, Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. Now, I know someone who is pretty excited about that. What's up, Joshua?
What's up, Terry? I am so excited because Lock and Key is my favorite comic, and it's coming to Netflix!
All right, I got to go get ready for those interviews, but why don't you tell me about the cool stuff we have coming up?
You got it, because we do have something really excited that I'm really excited to share with everyone at home. We are going to be giving you the chance to watch the first 10 minutes of Lock and Key online tonight. And what you have to do is pay attention to the whole show tonight. We're going to give away 3 clues that you'll put together to make a URL to watch it at home. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be so exciting. I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Yes, well, hey, Joshua, how's it going?
Oh, you made it!
Yeah, I did. No, thanks to you. Well, you know what? I'm going to be here all night long with the fans here in the designated fan area, giving away all this stuff. You see, giving away. Here, take this. This is for you and you. Yes, they're giveaways, not runaways, but you know what, whatever. You know, it's not just about the fans here. It's also about you watching us live. All right, so essentially what we want is for you to go to IGN.com because we have our producer, Nick, who's in the chat room right now. He's going to be plucking some of the questions that you guys have and tossing them up towards our guests that we have. And as a matter of fact, I believe Terry and Joshua are ready with our first guest right now.
Here! We're here, we got him! You don't have to wait anymore. I love this hype. So we are here with the showrunners and executive producers of Lock and Key, who finally brought it to the screen, Carlton Cuse and Meredith Averill. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Finally.
Finally, we're here.
So guys, just to start, I want to ask you guys, Lock and Key has a huge following with the comic book. So how did you make the show, fresh and new and exciting for people like me who know it like the back of their hand?
We made the show so that you could enjoy it if you hadn't read the comic. There's so many great elements in this story. There's a murder mystery, there's a coming-of-age drama, there's magical keys, there's horror, there's great characters and great drama between those characters. You don't really need to have read the comic to really love this show.
Now, we know a lot of the people who are watching this right now are super fans of the comics. Again, as Joshua said, know it like the back of their hand. And one difference between the show and the comics is you guys changed the name of the town. It's Lovecraft in the comic, and it's Matheson in the show. Can you guys talk a little bit about why you made that difference, that change?
Well, it was actually Joe Hill's idea to do that, and it was an homage to Richard Matheson, who's one of his favorites. So that was really his choice to do that.
Yeah, he had sort of felt he had done it had been sort of there was a lot of Lovecraftian elements to the comic, and then when we moved it to TV, he was like, I want to honor another writer.
I love that.
Cool explanation. There it is. So Meredith, you worked on Hill House, which had tons of horror. Lock and Key has horror elements as well, which fans of the comic will, of course, they really love. I would say the show, which I was lucky enough to get to watch the show has a lot of like magical whimsy in addition to horror. So how did you strike that balance of tone between the horror and the whimsy?
Yeah, I mean, from our early talks, we felt that we wanted to make the show more fantasy than horror. Certainly keeping some of those horror elements of it, but what's so unique about Joe and Gabriel's comic is that it blends all of these things together, right? As Carlton was saying, it's horror, it's fantasy, it's a family drama, it's a murder mystery, it's the teen drama. So, we felt that, to be true to that, we kind of wanted to lean more into the fantasy and the whimsy and keep it sort of lighter and this great coming of age story for our characters.
Now, obviously, we're talking a lot about comics adaptation. You guys had the opportunity to make some new keys for the show as well. We don't want to give away what they are, but can you talk about kind of the process of how and why you wanted to introduce new keys to Lock and Key?
Mainly because it's fun. Like if you have the opportunity as a writer to just invent a key that does the magical property, why would you not do that?
Yeah, and collaborating with Joe on those new keys that you saw, that are two of them which are introduced in the first episode.
So that's something that was you're working with Joe. It's not outside of the rules of Lock and Key as he and Gabriel envisioned.
No, in fact, we had come up with this key and then discussed some of its properties, and then Joe came up with this perfect summation for what it did. It was wow, he was just so dialed into that process. And I mean, he was such a great collaborator, and it was really fun to work with a creator who wasn't stuck on the notion of what the show should be based on the comic. He was very much the first thing he said to us was a literal adaptation would be boring. And so he wanted the show to be its own thing and wanted to contribute to making the show its own thing.
That's really cool. So I have a question about the villain of the show, who is they're a master manipulator. They're also an expert with the keys, which I love because the kids are just trying to figure them out. They're discovering them for the first time. But this person, they know what's up. So what was it like translating that character to the screen?
Oh, so much fun. I mean, we had so much fun writing Dodge, and Lysla de Oliveira, who plays her, is just so incredible. And the thing about Dodge, as you kind of hit on, is that she's a bit of a chameleon. She is whatever she needs to be in the moment to get what she wants. And you see her manipulate Bodhi in the first episode, and you'll see her throughout the season manipulate people in various ways. And she is just a pleasure to write and watch.
Now, we've been talking a lot about, obviously, Lock and Key. 12 years to come to life. Carlton is used to me asking these questions for him on season 1. Let's talk season 2. Now, we were excited to hear that you guys are you're in the writer's room for season 2. You're kind of breaking that story. So we were wondering, obviously, the comic is 6 amazing volumes. What is kind of your vision, big picture vision for the show on the whole?
I mean, I think it's kind of TBD. There's a lot of story. I mean, season 2 is going to be great, and we hope that Netflix will officially order the production of season 2, not just the room. And I think by the end of season 2, we'll have a better idea of how much story we have left and how much we want to do. But, once you start making the show, you cast these actors and they come alive as the characters. You start seeing all sorts of possibilities and opportunities, and we've just kind of dove into that in the room, and it's really been great. So I think there's quite a bit of story left.
Yeah, we do have a fun game coming up for the people at home, but we wanted to sneak in one fan question as well. Joshua,
Yes.
you have that.
From IGN user Adrian Strether, I think so. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Their question is, are you only wanting to tell the original story arc, or given the opportunity, do you want to explore other ones such as World War Key or the one-shots?
Coming in with the hard questions right from the top, right?
Joe and Gabriel have created this incredible mythology in their books with the Revolutionary War, and it's just so rich. So we are looking forward to hopefully exploring a lot more of that in seasons to come. And certainly there's so much from the original that we use in season 1 and more that we want to use in the future.
So the folks at home know this. You guys might not know this. We want to, we're here. We get to watch the first episode tonight. We're very excited about that, right? We're stoked. But we wanted to give everyone a chance at home to watch a little something too. So throughout the stream, we're going to be dropping clues to allow them to unlock the first 10 episodes. I hope you guys signed off on that.
First 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes. First 10 episodes. So Carlton, I have a job for you. You're going to drop the first clue for everyone. So if you can read that to your camera over here. Don't give away the answer just yet.
Okay. And the first clue is, what is the nickname of the villain in Lock and Key?
if you were paying attention, we might have mentioned it earlier in this interview as well. Well, thank you both so much, everyone. I hope you took notes of that at home. We want you guys to be able to get in there and have some fun. Such a pleasure chatting with you both tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Akeem, let's head back to you at the fan pit.
Yes, we are back here in the fan pit. What is going on? Everyone is super duper excited. I have two special guests with me right now. Of course, I have Kevin Alves, who's Javi on the show, and Felix Mallard, who's Lucas. How are you guys doing?
We're awesome, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is incredible. It's just
Now, you guys know Key House. Key House has so many keys. Which one would you guys pick to use, and how would you use it?
it's not even close to anywhere key for sure, because then you can just go anywhere. Like it would fulfill like a fantasy of mine from when I was a kid. Like I want to teleport. I've always wanted to teleport. So to be able to wake up and have breakfast in France and then go to the Alps somewhere and then go to Hawaii for sunsets. That's it. How about you?
at the risk of sounding repetitive, it's the anywhere key. I do. Who doesn't want to teleport? Who doesn't want to go anywhere you want to at any time? It's
I don't. I kind of want to stay where I'm at, but I would use the head key, all right? Because you can just get all the knowledge you want. You know what I mean? And speaking of knowledge, we're definitely going to need some knowledge here because you guys have some trivia questions that we're going to be tossing at the audience. All right? You guys excited? We're going to give away some stuff. Yeah?
All right. Let's pick somebody.
Yeah. It's up to you guys. You guys pick them.
All right. Okay, first you got it. Who wants this question the baddest? Anybody? All right.
He looks excited. He looks
He
excited.
looks too bummed. All right. For 1 gajillion, no, I'm kidding. What is the name of the elusive monster in Scottish folklore?
Is it the Echo?
So I should probably phrase this. So these are literal lock and key questions that we are tossing at you. So unrelated to the show. So let's ask the question one more time with that knowledge in our minds.
We'll give you a break. What is the name of the elusive monster in Scottish folklore?
Looks like a brontosaurus
I totally forget.
in the water.
Oh, the Loch Ness monster. The Loch Ness monster.
Yes, the Loch Ness monster. Boom! You got it. You got it. All right. So we're gonna give this away. This is right here. This is the Lock and Key gift set. Can you open this up for us, Kevin? Let's take a look at what it is. Look at what you won. Look at that. Look at that. You look at it. Isn't it beautiful? All right, show it to camera right now. Let's check that out. What do you guys see? These are the keys. You know, we got the Omega key. Yeah, that's it. Come on, guys. Cheer. You just won. You just won, and you don't seem that happy. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? What are you going to do with that now that you won?
Make a diary? I don't know.
Well, thank you guys very much. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now back to you, Terry.
Thanks so much, Akeem. I am glad that he got there with the Loch Ness Monster eventually. You know, it's something to haunt all our dreams. Now, you know, we're talking a lot. It's been almost 12 years to the day since the first issue of Lock and Key came out. So let's take a look back at the adaptation history from the comic to this Netflix series. Let's take a look.
I had this one idea for a horror story about a house that was almost alive, and it would be full of these enchanted keys.
Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez wrote an incredible comic, and I just had a real passion to bring it to the screen.
It's very exciting to see everything coming to life in a project like this.
Lock and Key has had a very long path to screen. First issue came out in 2008, and almost from the beginning, it had a very passionate fan base.
One of the more challenging aspects of translating from the comic book was the head key. Literally, your brain opens up as if it were a lid.
And the most iconic image is this double-page spread in which the lock kids peek into the head of Bodhi Lock.
Bodhi.
Hey guys, you gotta come see this.
In our version of the head key, it sticks in the back of someone's neck, so you can physically walk into your own brain.
And you can change things, too. You can meddle in a very serious way with your own memories, thoughts, impulses.
What is it?
The first time Dad took me to the top of the Space Needle. Want to see?
I'm good.
You know, the genius of Joe Hill was that he was able to tell such a rich and layered story.
So it's been amazing to have him as a resource, too.
It's like someone used the head key on me, but now it's all real.
We told you not to screw around with the keys.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just tuning in now, I'm Terry Schwartz. This is Joshua Yellen. We're here at the Lock and Key red carpet premiere. We're really excited to be here. We're actually doing something very special. So if you're just tuning in, a brief reminder, we have an unlockable element to this live stream where we are going to be dropping 3 clues throughout the show, and you're going to have a chance to string the answers together and go to a URL that allows you to watch the first 10 minutes of the episode. If you are just tuning in, you missed the first clue, but I'll recap it for you right now. The first clue is, what is the nickname of the villain of Lock and Key? So Google that if you don't know it off the top of your head. Akeem, why don't we check in with you at the fan pit real fast and see how things are going?
We are back here. Thank you very much, Terry. We are back here at the fan pit. I like to call it the designated fan area. Let's make some noise. Make some noise! Yes, how are we doing? All right, so what I want to do is I want to select someone for another trivia question. Now, again, these are literal lock and key trivia questions, okay? I see you looking at me, sir. I think you want to win something, don't you?
I'll try.
All right. Here's the question. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Who sang the chorus of Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind?
Alicia Keys?
You cheater! We got a cheater here. I don't even need to. Look, there's a man in my head right now saying give you a hint, and yet I didn't even need to because someone just whispered it. They whispered it. You know, you win anyway, man. Let's give it to him. All right, here we go right here. You are so lucky. I am so generous. I am so generous. You want me to sign your poster? I wasn't in Netflix's Lock and Key, so I can sign it for you. But back to Terry.
Thanks so much, Akeem. Now, we are here with the Locks themselves. We have Connor Jessup, who plays Tyler Locke, Amelia Jones, who plays Kinsey Locke, and Jackson Robert Scott, who plays Bodhi Locke. Welcome, guys. We're super hyped to be chatting with you.
So I want to ask you guys, wow, just seeing you there, seeing the Lock kids in front of me, this is so cool. As a long time,
This is how we dress on the show.
As a longtime fan of the comic, this is just so surreal seeing you here, knowing the show it's about to, premiere on Netflix. I just want to ask you guys, what was it like, just meeting each other, bonding together as, as people, as actors, but then bringing that chemistry to the show to be the Locke family?
I think the chemistry that you see on screen happened off screen too.
I was gonna say, if anything, I mean, Amelia and I spent so much of this season being angry at each other on screen, and that was hard because we love each other so much. It's like, but it's fun to scream at someone you love.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's my opinion.
Sure, yeah.
No, but I remember it's you can't really fake liking something. You meet these people, and then a week later you have to pretend to have 10 years or 15 years of history with them. And we just got lucky, I think.
Yeah, we clicked and gelled immediately.
Now, we got loads of fan questions for you guys. I'm actually going to jump right into a first fan question from IGN user Carlos Macia. He says, and this is his phrasing, I swear, be honest, how many of you had read all the graphic novels prior to being cast?
I have read one, and that's Welcome to Lovecraft's, the very first.
That's the good one to start
with, right? Yes.
I'm glad you started at the beginning.
Yeah, and just not some random
Have you
one.
only still
5 books in.
just read the first one?
What? I'm sorry.
Have you read all of the rest of them now, or only the first one?
No. Sadly, no.
They're a bit scary.
They are scary.
Yeah.
What about you?
My brother's a huge fan of the comics, so when I was auditioning, he sat me down. He was like, "Read them all, and I'll dress you for your audition." He's like, "Yeah, you got the part because of me, because I dressed."
What did he dress you as?
So Kinsey, green. She's
He liked
green in
the
her hair,
dreads
so he
and all
put me
that,
in this green T-shirt and gave me this wing necklace because she flies in the comics. Yeah, so I read all of them.
That is awesome.
How about you, Connor?
I read all of them in a weekend. I got the box set and I binge read them.
What was your reaction to reading them?
I mean, they're so beautiful. I mean, it's so nice because I know the people reading them as they came out read them over the course of years, and to be able to read them all at once and see the progression of these characters and Gabe's art, and it's so beautiful, and it's beneath the surface of fun and mystery. It really is a beautiful exploration of what it means to grow up, and hopefully that carries over to what we did.
And I just fell in love with the Locke family. I think they add such a touching human element to the story. So it was cool to play Locke.
Yeah.
I've got another fan question for you guys. This one's from IGN user Arthur Jonesy. They ask, I think this one's for Amelia. If you were in the story being you and not Kinsey Locke, are there things you would do differently than she does throughout the series?
Oh, that's such a good question. As fun as it was to film the music box scene, I would not do that to poor Eden.
Are you saying that you're a better person?
That's a tease of what's to come.
Your words, not mine.
That's a crazy scene. We were lucky enough to. We'll tease that for everyone at home who hasn't had a chance to watch. We'll have to watch Friday, but that is a crazy scene. I have another question. We have so many fan questions for you guys from IGN fan Sunny April for Jackson. What was the funnest thing to film for the show? So what was the funnest scene to film for the show? And what do you like best about your character Bodhi?
Yes, my bad. Everybody's
that was such
tuning
a
in. Okay, my favorite scene to play definitely would have to be when I go inside my head.
Your head's awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful display, everything. You're gonna have to watch it to find out what I'm talking about.
What would the inside of your head look like, Jackson?
Right now, this, surprisingly, this...
It's a difficult question.
At this moment.
At this moment, geez.
Okay, what's your favorite game?
I think it would
That
have
be...
Pokemon, you know?
Yeah.
Sort of stuff in there, like some, maybe like some video games, you know? Some Nintendo Switch, I guess. I don't know, 80s music?
It would
80s
be branded
music, yeah.
Nintendo.
It's
Yeah, it
very
would just
similar
be
to inside our heads. You're speaking to your people here.
Yes.
Okay, I've got another one from IGN user Anton Radu, I think it is, for Connor, Jessup, and Amelia Jones. How did you prepare for your role?
We read the comic.
Read the comic, covered
Way to
that.
start. And the script.
And it's always like a little boring, and it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is when the writing is good and when the characters are there on the page and they're in the source material, a lot of your work is done for you. And if you just do the kind of boring homework, it's and I mean, again, so much of the show is about believing that this family cares for each other and knows each other and has this complicated history with each other. And we just care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we have to be mad at each other, even when we have to hate each other, I think you can feel that we care about each other, and that does most of it for us.
I think the only kind of work that I did was, other than reading the comics and the script, I talked a lot at the beginning with Michael Morris, who directed episodes 1 and 2, about Kinsey after her father's murder. So we talked a lot in detail about Kinsey, and we decided that she kind of had mild PTSD and was racked by anxiety and fear. So to prepare, I researched PTSD symptoms so I could try and include that into my role. So.
How about for you, Jackson?
Me? Well, I first started as Bodhi Locke, the very first original one with the...
Jackson is the
OG
longest lasting
I survived it, okay? I don't really remember. I'm going to be honest with this. I'm not going to make up... I had fun, yes. I don't remember exactly, but I can say this. Whatever I did,
it
I
worked.
hope... it worked. It definitely worked. And I hope it pays off.
Now, I want to sneak in one last question from someone in our live chat on IGN.com from user Shuffy311, who's watching right now.
Love it.
They want to ask, approximately how many keys will be featured in season 1? Is that too much of a...
Wow, I've never actually counted. I'm trying to count in my head. I mean, more than
Ghost
10,
key,
I think.
head
Oh,
Don't say it.
We're the spoiler police. Literally, we're surrounded by Netflix.
That's all I'm going to say. You got a little...
But
you got a
there's
little
Those are from the
I mean,
comics.
there's some major
no harm
ones. There are a few new ones,
Few new
and there's some keys that were only featured in maybe like one panel in the comic that are expanded.
The ones that I did say are in the comics, so
You're good.
I guess it's
I mean,
okay.
they're also in all the
At least I
trailers. I
didn't
think you're
say
okay.
The new ones. I immediately went started listening.
There's a lot.
to my mom.
There's a lot of keys.
You guys nailed it.
I didn't mean to. I promise.
You're perfect. This was amazing. It was such a pleasure chatting
you
with
so
you guys.
much.
You could tell by the volume of fan questions. Everyone is so excited to have you guys bring these characters to life. That's all the time we have with you, but let's head back to Akeem at the fan pit. What you got for us, Akeem?
All right, we are back here in the designated fan area. Joining me right now, we have Halia Jones and Jesse Camacho. How are y'all doing?
Amazingly. Yeah.
Really good, really excited.
Now, first question I have for you guys. Now, there are so many different fantasy elements that we see throughout Netflix's Lock and Key. What are some of your favorites?
Oh, that is a really tough question. The fact that you can control people with it, is that wrong? Is that a... there are so many fantasy elements.
Yeah. I mean, I just think the sheer family aspect of it too, the fact that it's so relatable and you can see yourself in those positions. I think that's what makes any great story is the relatability of the characters.
It's beyond the fantasy.
Yeah,
There's
really
so many things beyond the fantasy that makes it
Grounded
so.
in that great Stranger Things kind of way, you know, and I think that's what people are going to really admire about the show. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I want to know what you admire about our audience here.
Yeah. I was actually walking down past here earlier, and they were all lined up, and I went and said hello. And if this is my first premiere, so this is
Did you all hear that? This is the first premiere. Come on, hype it up.
This is my second interview because I did one over there, and just meeting everybody earlier was just they were so nice and supportive and very excited. So I think we're all very excited and ecstatic about what's to come, and everything that we've worked on so hard has been the most fun of my life, and I'm really, really excited to share the love and the fun that we put into this with the world.
Well, let's share some love right now. Jesse, you have a trivia question to ask our audience. I think this guy right here,
You ready for this? I feel you. I feel a mind meld right here. Okay. In this 19th century fairy tale, 3 innocent bears are tormented by this little girl. Give it to me.
All right, Goldilocks.
There it is. I knew it.
Dad, look at that, man. You get this right here. This is a complete set. I'm sorry, I'm trying to, you give it to him. It is signed and everything. Look at that. Look at what we're doing. We're making dreams happen over here. This is so awesome. All right, well, Terry, back to you on the main stage. Thank you all so much.
Akeem, you're making dreams happen over there. We're making them happen over here, too. We have our next group of amazing interviewees. Sitting with us are Darby Stanchfield, who plays Nina Locke, the Locke matriarch. Yes. Bill Heck in the flesh as Rendell Locke. It's nice to see you. You know, living. And
Thanks. Good to be living.
Last but certainly not least, Liza de Oliveira, our villain. Dodge. Love it, love it.
Exciting.
We're so excited to have you guys here. I think, Joshua, you have our first question.
Yes, I do. Darby, I wanted to ask you, as the mother of the Locke kids,
Yeah.
Nina is part of these, fantastical events, but the rules of the key say that adults can't remember the magic. So what's it like playing this character, who gets stuck with amnesia?
Well, the moments of amnesia are the most interesting to me in terms of, with the mirror sequence, for instance, like there's a moment. And then when mind-altering substances do come to play, there's some levels there. But that's a fun thing to play as an actor, is like how to forget. And it's different for every adult in this show, so that's kind of fun.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting element for the show.
Yeah, it is. Although I do feel a little left out when, they're full on have their lightsabers and there's things on fire and I can't see any of it.
Like
It's a little bit
oblivious?
like, as a person, I'm like, wow, I'm missing out on all the fun.
I want to see what's inside Nina's head with the headgear.
Yes, so do I. So do I. Yes, we all do.
Now, Bill, I think everyone who knows Lock and Key knows that there's a horrible tragedy that kind of sets the events into motion, and that spoilers, right? We were like, is this too much of a spoiler?
Rendell Locke is dead.
Yeah, it's like the synopsis. But obviously, you're here. You're a part of the show. So talk a bit about how Lock and Key brings Rendell into the story without him being kind of like a present, physical presence in the story.
I mean, actually, I think in some ways, his presence is the most physical. His past is completely manifest in the environment where most of the action takes place, where most of the emotion and intention and trauma is released. Is kind of, in some ways, it comes like from Rendell's gut, like his post-mortem gut. So his corpse is all over the place.
Figuratively and literally in some scenes.
Lysla, you play the villain Dodge. I'm a huge fan of the comic book, and I just love how the villain is so manipulative and very chameleon-like, and how they're just an expert with all the keys. The kids are figuring them all out for the first time, but they know what's up and they have a master plan. What was it like for you just bringing such a cool, dangerous character to life on screen?
It was so fun. I mean, it's such a great opportunity when you get to play a character that's unapologetic about anything and, just doing things and not apologizing for it. I think it's just very liberating as a human being in general. She's a little bit more garbage person than I am, but it was really fun doing that, I must say. Yeah, just a little bit.
But equally excellent fashion, I will
say.
Thank
you. Thank you. I'm trying to live up to Dodge tonight.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of fun to Lock and Key. There's a lot of horror to Lock and Key, but the comic and the Netflix series is also in part about how we deal with grief and loss. So I'm curious for all three of you, like, what do you think is interesting about exploring that subject like this, and kind of how does the series bring it to life? A heavy one, right?
I just love that about the series, is that there is that grit and that they are dealing with loss. It's not just, sci-fi fantasy. That's such a great part of it. But then you have this other side that is so real and so raw, which, I'm biased, but I think makes it a very well-rounded show.
Yeah, and I think the magic and the fantastical elements would feel frivolous or a little drippy or cheesy if it wasn't grounded in the trauma and the need of the characters to figure it out.
And I'm especially interested in how each child grieves very differently, and then how they are as a family. It's so, when you meet the Locks in the very beginning of the pilot, they're sort of at their lowest point, so you think.
Right.
With the heartbreak and the emotion, and then you watch the rest of the series. But each character grieves so differently, and there's a lot of heart that comes out of that grieving and trying to reconnect that I know I was drawn to.
Yeah, I'll tease a little bit about the show too, because we are giving people at home a chance to unlock the first 10 minutes, which you'll see some of this there. But we're very excited about it. We'll get to that in a second. But in the comic, you kind of see right up front what happened to Rendell and how this affected the people. They go about it a different way in the show that I think was really kind of enlightening to me, is to kind of allow you to understand how each character processes it a bit differently and what their personal experience was like.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you guys a question that you'll have never been asked before, and you never will be again. But if you could have any key from the show in real life, which one would it be?
Whoa, I've never been asked that. That's so crazy. I'm going to go ahead and say Anywhere Key before these guys take it. I want to never stand on an airport line ever again.
God.
I have Nexus, but sometimes you still got to stand on that line.
I feel that.
So I'm going to Anywhere Key that.
You
guys can't
literally
pick the same
stole
one.
my key. That was my answer.
That wasn't mine.
What about you?
Well, that's your answer? You're not going to number two it? All right.
Or number two.
I have two answers, but I'm going to give one. So
I'm
we're not
buying
long-winded.
time.
Since I was a kid and Superman, flying felt like it would touch a deep place in my soul. But that's not an uncommon fantasy. I was always also worried about if I could fly. What about birds and planes, and also bugs? Like the physical element would actually be a pretty upsetting experience. But the Ghost Key gives you power of flight without the limitations of physical obstacles.
Right, the bugs just go right through
so
your ghost.
Exactly. So you're good.
Just got to worry about them burying you while you're in ghost form.
But getting back to your body.
Yeah, semantic. Now, I'm going to sneak in. We're actually getting live questions from the chat on IGN.com. So we have one from Lock_Cole, spelled like Lock and Key as well. What's it like bringing a beloved comic series to life?
A dream come true. That's the best answer I can give.
That's
I think
a good
it's
answer.
Such a great graphic novel, and I mean, I think we feel so lucky to be able to be a part of it, right?
Especially, I'd say, with how Joe Hill and Gabriela Rodriguez have been so supportive. You know, this graphic novel has been attempted to be made a couple of other times, and they didn't bring any baggage or fatigue or cynicism, but they really showed up for us. And, you know, when you have someone's IP, their baby, it's a nice feeling to have their blessing. They came to set, they watched dailies, they've seen the whole series, they're incredibly gracious and sweet to us on social media. So I personally it's an ideal situation because they're amazing. These graphic novels are amazing.
Love it. All right, now Darby, I prepped you a little bit before, and I have a job for you.
Yeah.
So the folks at home know we are giving everyone an opportunity to unlock the first 10 minutes of Lock and Key. We want to, we're going to see the premiere tonight. We want to give them something at home to tide over until Friday. So we've already dropped one clue in the stream. I'm going to give you the second clue to read to the camera right there. Just don't give away the answer just yet.
In the Lock and Key show, the town is named Matheson. What is the first name of the esteemed sci-fi horror author the town Matheson is named after?
You did that so well.
That was actually, I want to clap. Yeah. I want to clap for that.
Yes, well done.
Clapping for Darby, everyone. There we go. We don't have a crowd of fans for nothing. That was excellent. Thank you all so much. It was a pleasure chatting with you. We hope you enjoyed tonight. Now, before we get to our next interview, we want to give you a look into what the main keys you need to know are in Lock and Key. So let's take a look.
World of Lock and Key is home to many magical keys. Key House is just filled with these little guys. Some have wondrous abilities, and some are not so nice. So let's take a look at our old key ring to see what these keys can do. Let's start with the first key found in the comics, the Ghost Key. If you unlock the ghost door with it, you die. Wait, stay with me. Dropping dead does suck, but when you're a ghost, you can fly and spy on people. Creep. We also have the Anywhere Key. If you've seen a door, all you have to do is think of it, and with a turn of this key, you'll travel there and walk right through it. Makes it easy to steal things or take a vacation. Man, I need a vacation. Then there's the fan favorite Head Key. Who wouldn't want to open up their skull and take out the things you don't like or put in books full of knowledge? I'd put in a list of all the Pokemon because there's like over 1,000 of those things now and I can't keep track of them anymore. We have the Mending Key, which fixes anything you put inside the mending cabinet. A lot of these do what you think they would based on the names. The Giant Key turns you into a giant. The Hercules Key makes you strong like Hercules. The Animal Key turns you into a Calvin and Hobbes comic. Why, what were you thinking? Some keys require additional accessories. The Music Box Key needs a music box, and it plays a tune that makes other people do whatever you say. The Shadow Key goes with the Crown of Shadows to make the very darkness do your bidding. And there's the Omega Key. What does the Omega Key unlock? You'll have to watch Lock and Key to find out. And while we're at it, maybe we can figure out what the Teddy Bear Key does. And what about the Squirrel Key? What is that one about? Where is Joe Hill? They're going to be on the show, right? With Gabe Rodriguez? I have some questions.
Awesome. Well, we hope you enjoyed that recap of the keys in Lock and Key. With us right now, we have our next group of amazing cast members. We have Sherry Som, who plays Ellie Whedon, Kobe Bird, who plays Rufus Whedon, and Thomas Mitchell Barnett, who plays Sam Lesser.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. Now, before we even get into questions, we were talking about this with Kobe. Your head key, pin, incredible. You said your favorite key.
Out of all the keys in the comics, too, the time shift key, I love that key, but I love the head key the most. I love the idea of opening up your head and like looking at everything inside. It's really cool, and that kind of was my key. That kind of was my favorite key for the whole series, like throughout.
One of the most iconic, literally the poster as well for it, right?
Absolutely.
There's some nice body horror to get everyone in the mood for Lock and Key. Now, my first question is for Sherry and Kobe. Your characters are residents of Matheson. When the Locke family comes in, it changes their lives in a big way. So how would you describe the impact the Locke family has on your characters?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's kind of like, every family has their secrets, but the Locke family has some serious secrets that are, supernatural in nature and kind of have a trickle-down effect on everybody. And we've been kind of living this very quiet, lovely life in Matheson, and then when Nina and her family come, it's like things start to unravel in a very crazy way.
Yeah, for for Rufus, he's for him being the groundskeeper of Key House, when he meets Bodhi, he finally can talk to someone and share everything he knows about Key House, like all the secrets, all the things he hears, everything that he's seen that nobody would believe. So that's something for him. Also he gets along with Bodhi, because he kind of has the same mentality of a child. So in some ways you kind of seem click together.
They're an amazing team
Yeah.
in the show too. You guys seem like you had so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Together.
Yeah, Thomas, so, Sam Lesser is, of course, the one who kind of sets the whole story into motion. He's the one who causes the tragedy that befalls the Locke family. But Sam isn't just a villain. He's actually a very complicated character. Like, how do you see Sam's perspective?
I think he's desperate. I think he's afraid that he's not going to be able to escape circumstances he finds himself in. Which makes him vulnerable, and there's some betrayals or deceptions that occur in the story that lead Sam to believe that the only way he'll be loved is to forego his humanity and to harm people. Yeah, and to follow their angry urges. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, Sherry, as I'm sure fans of the comics know who are watching this, Ellie is a character who knew Rendell Locke, the Locke patriarch, before the events of this show. So how does that connection with Rendell impact her in the present?
Well, it's such a huge part of the story, and I think that when Nina and her family come to town, Ellie feels like a connection, like she wants to be close to Nina because it's such a connection to her past, but yet the past is a very scary place for a lot of reasons. So it's this really kind of weird push and pull for the character. She wants to connect with someone. She wants to maybe tell her secrets or maybe not, but just to have someone close who is, close to Rendell to be friends with. But things happen, that complicate that. So
she has an interesting.
Yeah, I really like that bond in the show, though. That's really cool that they brought that out for the show. That's really
I
cool.
did too. And Darby Stanchfield is such an amazing actress and such a lovely, generous person, and I couldn't be luckier.
Yeah, Kobe, I have a question. As you said, Rufus he's the groundskeeper on Key House, and he becomes friends with Bodhi. But what do you most like about playing Rufus?
So I love Rufus because as someone who's grown up with autism, who's dealt with everything going through autism, through childhood, I relate to Rufus because even though they don't specify that he has autism, he has an unspecified mental disability. There are some things that actually I do relate to with everything. So for one, he always carries an action figure with him. I'm a huge manga and I'm a huge comic book fan. So whenever I'm wearing a jacket, if there's a pocket, I'll put the manga volume in my pocket and I'll carry it around and if I'm not doing anything, I'll take it out and read it. So I kind of conflict to that. Also another thing is how Rufus uses his military vocabulary. As a kid for an entire day, I would speak in a very thick Cockney accent. So I definitely related to that. I definitely related to that very much.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
The character's so authentic because you're playing.
Yeah, he's my favorite character in the whole comic.
That's awesome.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I love Rufus. And actually, Thomas, you are one of two actors in the show who was actually in the first pilot that Carlton made as well, and you played Rufus there. Now you're playing a very different character now. So we're curious, what's appealing to you about getting to play a more villainous this character versus someone as pure as Rufus?
That's a great question. I think there's like a lot that has been said by much smarter and better actors than me. Like, isn't it Elizabeth Taylor who said she's never played a villain? She's only played misunderstood people. I might not say Sam's misunderstood. Maybe he is. I don't know. He still does some pretty messed up things. No, it was a real. It's exciting. I think there's something exciting about playing someone villainous. And I think on this project, it was really nice to kind of get the blessing of the showrunners and of the directors to bring a sensitive side to him and to show the pain that leads him to do terrible things. Yeah.
Okay, and coming off that really heavy answer, I'm going to go to a fun question from someone who's in the IGN.com chat. Remember, you can submit all your questions, and producer Nick will be looking for them and giving them to us to ask our guests here. This one is from Shuffy311. They want to know, what type of key would you create?
Okay.
I want to know what it looks like and what is it going to do.
Oh my gosh. Mine would be shaped like Louboutin.
Okay.
And it would create the perfect outfit as soon as you turn the key, and you wouldn't have to think in the morning when you're trying to get two boys ready for school at 6 o'clock in the morning. And it'd be instant outfit. There you go.
We were talking about a makeover key earlier today.
Yeah.
I
There you
like
go.
that.
Makeover key.
That's okay. Let me think. I gotta think about that. I would love a key that would be. I haven't. I just thought of it, so I don't know the design, but I would love a key that would like take you to different alternate dimensions.
Huh?
So one could take you to a dimension where everything looks different. So stuff like that. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
I think like a key that I could like lock the door to my room and I open it and it was clean.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh,
Housekeeping
The
key.
best, the most practical. I love it. I love these practical keys.
I thought you were gonna say just like a key that like locks my door, and I was like, I think we
Honestly,
can
I
work on
could
that.
really thrive if I could just get on top of that.
Yeah, I
really
love it.
feel like that's holding me back.
We're talking to Joe later in the stream. We'll tell him to Gabriel,
Yeah.
start designing them now. We have some ideas. Well, thank the three of you so much for coming by and chatting with us.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have more interviews coming up soon, but first, here's a sneak peek at Lock and Key.
Oh, cool. Whoa! Are we rich?
I don't know if I'd say rich. So much is very lucky, kid.
Yeah, I feel so lucky.
It's bigger than the pictures. It's also a little more Norman Bates.
How come Dad never brought us here?
Said it was a depressing shithole that wasn't fit for derelicts. Paraphrasing.
Hey! Welcome to Key House.
Uncle Duncan! Uncle Duncan! We have a house with a name!
Oh, well, puns are a Locke family tradition.
How's Boston?
All is good. Oh, I wanted to get you guys something to mark the occasion of coming to your ancestral home for the first time. Wanted to get you something like a plant, but then I was running behind and I didn't want to miss the movers, so that's for you. That's for you. Okay. Who wants to see inside?
Me!
Okay, let's go.
Yeah!
Whoa.
Holy shit.
Jesus.
They're excited to see Key House as well. Now, sitting with us, can you guys hear? Sitting with us is our next group of guests. We have Patrice Jones, who plays Scott, Genevieve Kang, who plays Jackie, and Griffin Gluck, who plays Gabe, which is such a tongue twister. I practiced. Yeah.
It's Griffin Gluck.
Now, Patrice and Griffin, the show introduces you guys as a group of friends for Kinsey in the pilot, and you're both part of the Savini Squad, which I love. This is introduced in the show. Savini, as Scott so eloquently puts it in the pilot, is the godfather of gore. So we're curious, were you familiar with his works before, and are you, all three of you, are you horror fans?
I actually wasn't familiar with his work specifically, although I guess I was, but you don't realize who's behind it.
Right.
And then you go back and you look through the amount of work that he's actually done, and you're like, oh, yeah, of course. So yeah, he's an interesting guy as well.
Were you horror fans? Do you like the genre?
On very rare occasions, I'm a horror fan. If it's like 3 a.m. and I just like really want to, do something crazy, but also just sit in my room and do nothing at the same time, then I'll put on a horror film.
Right.
That's like the last time I would want to watch 3 a.m. Broad daylight on a Saturday, all the blinds open.
Yeah, no, I'm a horror fan if I'm watching with a group of people, but not.
I'm not watching anything
alone.
That's insane.
I guess I'm a horror fan. I think the last thing I watched that was good was it Midsummer?
Midsummer. Oh,
yeah. I haven't seen that.
Don't watch that. It's a great film, but don't watch it because it's a different kind of horror.
That's me with Hereditary.
Yeah,
Same.
I cannot do horror at all, which is strange that Lock and Key is my favorite comic, but it's like the story's so good and the characters are so awesome that I can't help but be into it. And speaking of characters, so you play Scott. It's very different than in the comics. He's more of like an anarchist, like a punk. So how did you put your fresh spin on the character for the series?
Well, first of all, I had a very clear conversation with Joe that hair wasn't
not going to happen.
So.
The balds, the little colored.
Yeah, I mean, they made a very clear point to recreate what the Savini squad in general. That's not a thing that's in the comic book in the first place. So Scott in this one is much more of a happy-go-lucky guy. He's obviously besotted by Kinsey. They have a great sort of romance, but they are very different people from the comic book. So he's I like him. He's the happy guy in the show. He's the comic relief, I would say.
Yeah.
I love the balance of having like the friend group really expanded a
Right.
bit more in the show than you get in the comic.
There's more
because it's
flavor,
tight, tight 6 volumes there,
Right.
and we get a bit more time to explore. Now we have a question from the IGN.com chat right now, which our producer Nick grabbed for us. This is from Hyrule Z, but I love it either way. I love the sass. This is for all 3 of you. If you could get one key from the show in real life, which one would it be and why?
It's a popular question.
We've talked about this so often. We talk about this all the time, just like on
Changes based
set.
on the
Anytime
mood.
we do a scene with one, we're just like,
Yeah.
I would love this.
That one. Yeah.
This one. But
What would
I don't know. I feel like we all have the same answer.
Is it
I don't think.
No,
Mine's-
is yours?
You're anywhere?
anywhere key? Yeah, 100%.
100% anywhere.
Mine, yeah.
Have we got to say
Mine-
why?
Mine would be the ghost key, because the anywhere
Oh,
key
that's
you need
so
to have.
But with the ghost key, you can go back and talk to anybody, right?
No,
I'm just scared.
Yes,
dead
you can
people.
speak to the dead. You can walk through walls and people, and you can also fly. So you could fly other places. Whereas anywhere key, you can travel anywhere, but only like where you've like seen the door before.
Yeah, but
Or you can
with
picture
the
it.
ghost key, you risk getting stuck.
What, in the clouds?
Yeah.
Or they bury your body
Did I
while
make
you're
that up? Is that
gone.
not a real thing?
I don't think you can get stuck in the clouds, but I like that as potential.
No, I think you can get stuck if the door closes. No.
I do.
Oh,
think
you
so,
can't
yeah.
return to your
Yeah,
body?
you can't come back.
You know, it'd be crazy. Crazy and surreal would be the giant key from the comics. That's one where I'm
Yeah, we
like,
haven't.
And we haven't even talked about that one.
No.
That's a crazy one. That's down the line. I'm like, what can I say that's not going to get me in
Fair
trouble
enough.
right now? Thank you all so much for being here. We're so excited about Lock and
Thank
Key
you.
finally coming to life. We want you to
I know.
enjoy the premiere tonight. But before we let you guys go, we want to give something else to you guys at home. We want to give you another package to take a look at. So it's been 12 years in the making, bringing Lock and Key to life. Let's take a look at the journey it has taken to the screen.
Not even a week after writer Joe Hill and artist Gabriel Rodriguez debuted the Lock and Key comic, the screen rights were acquired by Dimension Films. But in what would become a trend for Lock and Key adaptations, things didn't go according to plan. In 2010, DreamWorks had the rights and Steven Spielberg joined the project as a producer. They decided Lock and Key would be a TV show instead of a movie and even made a pilot for Fox. The network, however, passed on the pilot in 2011 because, according to Hill in a 2014 interview with Collider, it was too scary. That didn't stop the producers from screening the pilot at San Diego Comic-Con that year, receiving glowing reviews from those lucky enough to see it. Then in 2014, Lock and Key found itself at Universal Pictures with a film trilogy in the works. But almost as quickly as New Hope arrived, it was snatched away. In 2015, news came from Hill that the movies were no longer happening. In 2017, Lock and Key got its second shot at the small screen thanks to Hulu and the team of Carlton Cuse, Lindsay Springer, and a pilot directed by IT filmmaker Andy Muschietti. Lock and Key had another powerhouse team of genre names backing it, but again, the studio passed on the pilot. Eventually, Netflix took on the project, but decided to order a redeveloped version with Q still attached, joined by Meredith Averill, a producer on The Haunting of Hill House. But that isn't to say all of the previous efforts were for naught.
Yeah, we keep joking that one day there should be a college course where they take all of the versions of Lock and Key and sort of dissect them, because it's a great lesson, and there's not one way to skin a cat, forgive the grotesque saying, but it's a great lesson in that. And then so all versions are going to be very different, but all keeping in the spirit of the comic.
We had a chance to really do stuff with the property that that we could do because it was for Netflix. We had the money, the time, and the resources to really dig in and figure out what the critical elements were. And I think that we just, as creators, had our own vision of what we wanted it to be, and it just took a while to get it to a place where it was right.
Now, after a 12-year journey involving 3 pilots, a movie trilogy, numerous writers and actors, and what has to be an astonishing number of prop keys, the show now has a home at Netflix.
All right, we are back with our last interview of the night, and I'm not gonna lie, the one that we've been looking forward to the most. With us are the comic book Lock and Key co-creators, Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. This must be so great after it's been almost 12 years since the first volume came out, finally to be at the world premiere of Lock and Key's adaptation. Talk about what it's like to be here and finally debut it to the world.
It's hallucinatory.
Yeah, I wish I could say this is a dream come true, but there's no way to dream something like this. So this is like receiving the most unbelievable gift anyone could get. And it's exactly like that. It's like realizing that Santa Claus actually do exist.
And of course he does.
Yeah.
There's a key in Lock and Key, the head key, and in it you can open someone's head and look into their imagination, and it's like looking into an aquarium.
Yeah.
And watching the show after all those years of working on the comic, it's like someone used the head key on us and dumped out all that stuff that was in there and threw it up onto the screen, and now it's alive. So yeah, it's trippy. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm really a huge fan of a comic book. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but it's my favorite comic book.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, so I'm curious to know just how much did you guys have to do with the making of the show?
Well, basically, one of the things that we appreciate the most about this adaptation is that the people that took care of this story, that they really love the original story and they love the comic book, and they got a lot of research of all the work that we did before. But basically, they have their own vision for that. And when we start seeing the stuff that they do, and when Joe realized the way in which they wanted to develop the story, we knew that we were in great hands, and they basically don't needed major input from us because they already understood the way in which they wanted to tell the story.
But they got it anyway.
Yeah.
Whether they wanted it or not.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that the show has a really unique, beautiful look to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that reflects a decade of Gabe's art, crafting that world and creating that world. And they were able to capture his sense of beauty and the strange on the screen. And I had a chance to work in the writer's room and talk with him about the story. And so we stayed about as involved as it made sense to be without undermining things by being underfoot too much. It is the same story as the comic, but it's also like a Rubik's Cube that's been reconfigured into a new shape. And so, if you love the comic, all the things that you love about it are there on the screen. But also you can't get too comfortable.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you expect the show to go left, it goes right instead.
Yeah.
That's how you keep it fresh, right?
Yeah.
Now, Joe, because you haven't done enough work to get to this point in time, I have another job for you.
I'm ready.
All stream, we have been dropping clues for our audience at home. We wanted to give it, we're here, we're going to see the first episode. We want to give them something to watch as well.
Yeah.
So we have been dropping 3 clues. This is going to be the 3rd.
Okay.
The answers to these 3 clues together will unlock the first 10 minutes of Lock and Key's premiere.
Okay.
So...
what is the name of the first key that Bodie Locke discovers in Lock and Key? I know, it's his mom's car keys.
No spoilers.
That was Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
frame that. You're the super fan here. Excellently done. Okay, so just to quickly recap, we had what is the nickname of the villain in Lock and Key was the first clue. We had what is the first name of the esteemed sci-fi writer that the town Matheson is based on, and our last clue is what is the first key that Bodhi Locke finds in the Lock and Key comics. So. Think about those, Google those. We'll come back to that in a little bit. But I did want to ask the next. Actually, Joshua, I think you had another question.
Ask the
for
next
them.
question.
I know.
Cool.
I've been chatting.
No, so the Lock and Key comics, I feel like one thing the fans love about it is the horror elements, and there's quite a bit of that. I've actually been lucky enough to watch the show and see it, and I noticed it leans a lot into the fantasy and sort of the magical discovery and those sort of elements. More so than the horror. So I'm just curious, what kind of balance did you want to strike with that, and why did you lean into more of those fantasy elements?
I would say that the difference between the comic and the show, the comic leans into horror a bit more. Certainly the TV show has some scary bits in it, but in some ways it's intended for a broader audience. It's more a work of dark fantasy than a work of horror. It's more a work of fantasy that comments on horror. So for example, there's a group of friends called the Savini Squad in the TV show that revere the splatter effects of Tom Savini, who did the gross out effects for Dawn of the Dead and Creepshow, and and they talk a lot about Final Girls, and how horror stories work. And, it's not quite as meta as something like the Scream movies, but I like that commentary is there. And so I think there are scares, but the scares never overwhelm the fun.
And the other thing that's very engaging and surprising about the show is that it found a way by shifting things of the tone and shifting the way in which they present the story. They find a way to surprise even the readers of the comic book that know the entire story. This is going to be surprising and engaging for them as well. And I think that's really fun to do. I watched the entire first season, and for me, being one of the creators of the comic, even I got surprised by the twists and turns that they took in this new vision for the same story and characters. So it was great to realize that it's the same, but in an entirely fresh new way.
Yeah, I agree. Watching it for the first time. No, unsurprisingly, we got a lot of fan questions for you guys.
Okay.
I know
Yeah,
we're running long on time, but we have one from IGN fan Carlos Macia, wondering if does seeing the show finally inspire you to expand the Lock and Key universe? And we say this knowing that last Comic-Con you promised us World War Key, and we're desperate for an update on it. Even though you announced another new one-shot today, but we're curious about the status of World War Key as well.
I mean, we're going to do another six-book series called World War Key, which will jump back and forth in time. So the very first book takes place during the Revolutionary War, and it's about how the magical keys won the Revolutionary War for us, basically. And then the next book, World War Key Resurrection, leaps forward into the modern day. We visit some favorite characters from the Lock and Key series, and we see how they're doing. And we also see the events of the Revolutionary War staining through into the present. It's that William Faulkner quote, the past is never gone, it's not even past. And then we have another thing that we're doing that we're really excited about, and we've been dreaming about it for years. And it's been a hell of a thing trying to pull it together.
And it's going to be announced really soon.
And it's going to be announced really soon.
And it's going to be the way in which we will wrap the series of short stories that we've been doing in what we call the Golden Age for Lock and Key, the stories of Chamberlain Locke and his family. That's going to be, in a way, a book that's going to be collected, and it's going to be like the doorway that will communicate the first Lock and Key long series with the new one that we will be doing in World War Key. These are ideas. We've been discussing these ideas for over 4 years since we finished the first run, and we feel like this is the right time to return to this universe and these characters, and we're really excited about introducing you to these new stories of Lock and Key. So this is going to be a lot of fun ahead.
We're so excited, and obviously you're introducing it to a whole new audience on Netflix as well this Friday. So you're going to have a lot of people hungry say, 6 volumes, that's it? Well, good for them that they know more is coming.
Well, it took us and it took us 10 years to do the first 6 volumes. So I mean, it's like a decade. World War Key is like a decade project. It's going to take a while.
All right, we'll see you here in 2030.
gonna be
Sounds
great.
Now, thank you guys. That is all the time we have. But of course, we've been promising you all stream long that you would have a chance to unlock the URL to go see the first 10 minutes of Lock and Key early. We hear you guys figured it out. Head over to DodgeRichardGhost.com right now. Watch those 10 minutes. This is our last interview. We don't have any goods for you. We want you to enjoy it. So thank you. DodgeRichardGhost.com, the sexiest URL that's ever been known. Thank you, Joe and
Thanks so much
Gabriel,
for talking to us.
for coming and chatting with us. Congrats on the premiere. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joshua. And good night, guys.
Bye.